In 1982, a college sophomore got a C on a term paper. His professor told him the idea in it was dead. 10 years later, that paper changed the United States Constitution, and it's still changing the paycheck of every member of Congress today. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how one student's grudge became the longest ratification fight in American history, and how, 35 years later, that grade itself got rewritten too. September 1789, Congress sends the states 12 proposed amendments, not 10, 12. 10 got ratified within 2 years. You know them as the Bill of Rights. The other two just stalled. One would have capped the size of congressional districts, still unfinished, over 2 centuries later. The other said Congress couldn't give itself a pay raise that took effect before the next election. 6 states ratified that pay amendment early. Then it went silent for 81 years. Ohio ratified it in 1873. Silent again for another 105. Wyoming, 1978. Almost nobody noticed either time. 1982. University of Texas at Austin. A sophomore named Gregory Watson is digging through old congressional records for a class paper, hunting for amendments Congress approved that states never finished ratifying. He finds it, the forgotten 1789 pay amendment, and he notices something. Congress never attached it a deadline. No deadline means no expiration. His paper argued it wasn't dead, just sitting there, still legally open. Here's where the story actually starts. His professor wasn't convinced. Sharon Waite gave him a C. Watson protested. Her answer, as he remembers it, I had not convinced her the amendment was still pending. Now here's the part that actually makes this story work. Watson wasn't chasing some grand civic mission. He was annoyed. His own words, I'm gonna get that thing ratified. No movement, no nonprofit, no legal team, a grudge, a typewriter, a roll of postage stamps. He wrote to Congress first. Nothing happened. So he pivoted, state legislators, one at a time, urging them to introduce ratification resolutions for an amendment most of them had never heard of either. Maine, 1983. Colorado, 1984. Then more states through the mid-'80s. Slow, unglamorous, entirely self-funded, several $1,000s of his own money on paper, postage, phone calls, no salary, no staff. Word spread past the states he'd personally written to. A legislative trade magazine picked it up. Other states started moving on their own. Then, near the finish line, help arrived that Watson hadn't asked for. Consumer advocate Ralph Nader started promoting it. A freshman Ohio congressman named John Boehner championed it on the House floor and treated it, publicly, like his own freshman class's signature project. Watson later said it robbed me of savoring to the fullest a decade of work that was entirely his. May 7, 1992. Michigan ratifies. That's 38 states. 3/4 of the Union. Threshold met. It should have ended there. It almost didn't. Senate Majority Leader Robert Byrd confronted the Archivist of the United States directly, warned of ramifications if he certified a 202-year-old amendment before Congress weighed in on whether that was even legal. The archivist certified it anyway, May 18, 1992. Congress didn't fight it. 2 days later, both chambers voted to formally recognize it. Senate, 99-0. House, 414-3. The amendment Gregory Watson found in a library in 1982 was now the 27th Amendment to the United States Constitution. But here's the part most retellings skip. Was this actually legal? The Supreme Court had touched this before. 1921. Dillon versus Gloss. The court suggested ratification should happen within some reasonable time, and even named this exact amendment as an example of something too old to still count. Then 1939, Coleman versus Miller. Different answer. If Congress doesn't set a deadline, deciding how long is too long isn't a question for judges. It's a political question. Congress's call. No deadline was ever attached to this amendment, which meant it was Congress's call whether it still counted. Congress said yes by not saying no. One more thing. 2017, 35 years after that. C, a UT Austin professor who'd been telling this story in his own classes, petitioned to have Watson's grade corrected. Sharon Waite signed off herself. Her reason on the record: Watson deserved it. In light of the students' heroic efforts to prove the professor and TA wrong. The C became an A+. 202 years, 7 months, 12 days, the longest ratification gap of any amendment in American history. Started by one annoyed sophomore who didn't think a bad grade should be the end of the story. If you want the next hidden clause behind the laws that shape this country, subscribe. There's a lot more where this came from.